For over 4 decades, this has been the unblinking eye in the sky for the NATO alliance, the Boeing E-3 Sentry. From the skies over Cold War Germany to the deserts of the Middle East, this aircraft has been the maestro of the air battle, the high-flying command post that sees everything, directs everything, and turns a chaotic sky into a controlled chessboard. But the E-3 is old, loud, and nearing the end of its life. Its replacement was meant to be this, the E-7 Wedgetail. A state-of-the-art proven platform already in service with key allies and selected by the U.S. Air Force itself. In 2023, NATO announced its plan to acquire a fleet of these jets, a multi-billion-dollar deal that seemed all but certain. But in a stunning reversal that has sent shockwaves through the defense world, that deal is now dead. In a statement, the Dutch Ministry of Defense, speaking on behalf of a core group of NATO nations, announced that the plan has lost its strategic and financial basis and has been abandoned. This is more than just a canceled contract. It is a decision that exposes deep fractures within the alliance, questions the future of airborne surveillance itself, and opens the door for a European rival to seize one of the most prestigious defense contracts on the continent. Today, we're going to conduct into the anatomy of this deal's collapse. What really happened, and what does it mean for the future of NATO's eyes in the sky? To understand what happened, we need to look at the original plan. The NATO Airborne Early Warning and Control Force operates a fleet of E-3 Sentry aircraft from Geilenkirchen Air Base in Germany. This is a unique, multinational unit, a true symbol of alliance cooperation. But their planes are scheduled to retire in 2035, and a replacement is urgently needed. The plan, known as the Initial Alliance Future Surveillance and Control, was to acquire an initial batch of 6 Boeing E-7 Wedgetails. A core group of nations, the Netherlands, the US, Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg, Norway, and Romania, were to lead the procurement. In 2023, after a rigorous assessment, NATO declared that the E-7 was the only known system currently capable of fulfilling the Strategic Command's essential operational requirements and available for delivery within the timeframe required. It seemed like a done deal. So what changed? The Dutch statement gives us the critical clue. It confirms that in July 2025, the United States withdrew from the NATO Joint Funding Program. This is a crucial distinction. The U.S. Air Force is still pursuing its own domestic E-7 program, but Washington quietly backed out of financially supporting the NATO fleet. Without the financial and political heavyweight of the United States, the strategic and financial basis for the remaining smaller European nations collapsed. The deal became too expensive and too risky. The Dutch Ministry of Defense was blunt. The remaining countries are now looking for new partners and exploring entirely new alternatives. For Boeing's E-7, the door to NATO headquarters appears to be firmly closed. Boeing's loss is another company's opportunity, and in Europe there is only one realistic, off-the-shelf alternative, the Swedish-made Saab GlobalEye. The GlobalEye is a completely different beast from the E-7. While the Wedgetail is based on a 737 airliner, the GlobalEye is built on the airframe of a Bombardier Global 6000 long-range business jet. This makes it smaller, quieter, and significantly more fuel efficient. But don't let its size fool you. The heart of the GlobalEye is its AirEye Extended Range Radar, a powerful ESA system mounted in a dorsal plank, similar to the E-7's. But unlike the E-7, which is primarily focused on air surveillance, the GlobalEye is a true multi-domain platform. It integrates its powerful air radar with sophisticated sea and ground surveillance radars, allowing a single aircraft to track fighter jets, cruise missiles, naval vessels, and even ground vehicles simultaneously. This platform is no longer just a concept. It's a rapidly growing success story, and its supporters are strategically important. Sweden, a new and vital NATO member, has it on order. The United Arab Emirates is an established operator, and most critically, France, a European military heavyweight, has publicly announced its intention to purchase the GlobalEye to replace its own E-3 fleet. The Dutch defense minister's statement was telling. He said, "The withdrawal of the United States also demonstrates the importance of investing as much as possible in European industry. This is more than just a procurement decision. It's a political signal. It points towards a growing desire for European strategic autonomy, and Saab, with its GlobalEye, is perfectly positioned to be the beneficiary. So why did the U.S. get cold feet, and why was the NATO deal so fragile? Part of the answer may lie in the fact that the E-7 program, while based on a proven design, has not been without its own significant troubles. Let's look at the United Kingdom. The Royal Air Force is a key E-7 customer, but their program has been dogged by delays and cost overruns, according to official reports. The original order for 5 aircraft was trimmed to the bone, down to just 3. For a country with global responsibilities, a fleet of only 3 AEW&C aircraft is a razor-thin margin that severely limits its ability to deploy them and absorb any potential losses. Then there's South Korea. In a major upset, Seoul recently rejected the E-7 for its own AEW&C program, opting instead for a domestic solution. Even the U.S. Air Force's own E-7 program has been on shaky ground. The Pentagon's 2026 budget request initially called for scrapping the procurement entirely in favor of future space-based systems. While Congress has since restored funding to keep the program alive, this high-level uncertainty from its primary customer likely did little to reassure nervous NATO partners about the long-term viability and cost of the platform. This pattern suggests that the E-7, while highly capable, is a complex and expensive system, and NATO may have simply balked at the price tag and the risk, especially after the U.S. pulled its share of the funding. But this story is about more than just a competition between Boeing and Saab. There is a deeper, more profound question that is haunting military planners in the Pentagon and across NATO. Is the very concept of a large, crude, non-stealthy surveillance aircraft like an AWACS becoming obsolete? The E-3 was designed for a different era. In a potential conflict against a peer adversary like Russia or China, a $7 billion E-7 or a legacy E-3 is a huge, high-value target. It's broadcasting a powerful radar signal, making it a giant electronic beacon. Modern long-range air-to-air missiles can reach out and touch targets from hundreds of kilometers away. The survivability of these platforms in a contested airspace is no longer guaranteed. In fact, many analysts believe they wouldn't last the first day of a major war. This is why the ultimate vision for future surveillance for both the U.S. and NATO is not another aircraft, it's a system of systems. The future lies in distributed, resilient, space-based networks. Imagine a vast constellation of smaller, radar-equipped satellites that can provide persistent, global surveillance. There is no single high-value point of failure. If an enemy takes out one satellite, the rest of the mesh network absorbs its function. The U.S. Air Force has increasingly viewed its own E-7 acquisition as a bridge, a necessary stopgap to get them from the retiring E-3 to this future space-based capability. This context is critical. From the Pentagon's perspective, why make a massive long-term investment in a NATO fleet of bridge technology when the ultimate solution lies in space? The collapse of the E-7 deal has forced NATO to a strategic crossroads. With the 2035 retirement date for the E-3 Sentry looming, the alliance faces a critical choice that will define its surveillance capabilities for a generation. Path 1 is the pragmatic European solution. The alliance could move quickly to procure the Saab GlobalEye. It's a modern, available multi-domain aircraft. It's operated by key NATO members, and selecting it would be a powerful investment in European defense industry and a step towards strategic autonomy. Given the urgent need and the political winds, this appears to be the most likely path forward. Path 2 is the revolutionary leap. NATO could decide to forego a new crewed aircraft altogether and invest its collective resources into developing or buying into a space-based surveillance network, likely in partnership with the United States. This is a high-risk, high-reward strategy. It would be incredibly expensive, technologically challenging, and might not be ready in time to replace the E-3, creating a dangerous capability gap. This decision is about more than just which platform has the better radar. It's about NATO's very identity. Does it double down on European-led solutions, or does it embrace a technologically disruptive, US-led vision of the future? The unblinking eye of the E-3 Sentry is slowly closing. The story of what replaces it will tell us everything we need to know about the future direction, ambition, and cohesion of the most powerful military alliance in history.